Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to my cozy little corner of the internet. My name is Sarah Ashworth, and in the previous episode, Jasper and Eric tried to outrun the Sirensong, but realised too late that they couldn't escape the song's home turf. In today's episode, we shall continue this intriguing story. So, grab your favourite beverage, sit back, relax, and I shall begin. Chapter 11. The Message. Jasper groaned as his eyes slowly opened. He blinked once or twice to clear his vision. He squinted when he was hit by light. That was odd. The room was dark before. Did someone turn the light on while he was out cold? He looked up and saw the light overhead. It was much brighter than the dim flickering lights in the hallway. He slowly looked down and around, trying to take in any features of the room to get some idea of where he was. Other than a radio system, there wasn't much in the room. He turned his head back towards the middle of the desk, and he almost jumped when he saw Eric staring back at him. "Eric?" he whispered as he tried to move forwards, only to be jerked back. He quickly looked back and saw to his surprise that his hands were cuffed to the back of the chair. "Well, this is just great," he grumbled as he struggled to free himself. As he tried, it became harder to hide his fear. His breathing became faster and shallower as panic started to creep in. "Try to stay calm," Eric spoke to him, hoping that he could help ground Jasper despite their current situation. "This is what they want." Eric tried to keep his voice as calm as he could. Even though he was feeling fearful himself, panicking wouldn't help them in this situation. "That's easy for you to say," Jasper snapped at Eric. He kept his gaze on the redhead as he couldn't really focus on much else at the moment. "Did you do this?" Eric just scowled at Jasper. Did he really think he would betray Jasper like that? "Yeah, I really handcuffed you and myself. It was quite a miracle, really," he muttered sarcastically, which really made Jasper pause and think for a moment. He had realised as soon as the words came out that it was stupid. He was pretty fed up with the whole thing. In his wildest dreams, he didn't think that he'd end up in this situation. It was a scary experience, and he just wanted to get out of there. "Yeah, okay. You made your point," Jasper huffed, though his tone was sincere and apologetic. He sighed and looked around the room. "There has to be a way out of this." He started to fiddle around with the cuffs behind his back. "Maybe if I try to slip my hands through." "It won't work," Eric spoke dejectedly, though his eyes seemed empty, as though he had given up already. "I tried. The cuffs are just too tight." "Are you serious? After how far we've come? After going through so much, you want to just give up?" Jasper shouted. He was practically begging at that point. They had a plan. They would find the source of all this together. Sure, there was danger, but that was to be expected. But to give up when things were difficult? That was something Jasper couldn't accept. "You can't give up now. We're so close." Eric simply let out a subdued laugh. He just looked tired and done with the whole thing. "I'm sorry, Jasper. I'm sorry for getting you caught up in this whole mess." His apology was sincere, and despite the dark rings around his eyes, they were warm and friendly. "That day at the lighthouse, I made up my mind to deal with it myself when you showed up. Despite everything, you still wanted to help, so I let you." He looked down at his feet. "Listen, I'm sure you know a lockpicking spell or something like that, so free yourself and get out of here." "What about you?" "I'm the one they want. They have me, so they won't bother you anymore. I'm not leaving without you. You got caught up in this because of me. It's only fair that you leave me behind." Jasper groaned. He was clearly frustrated by the situation. He wanted to get them both out, but Eric wouldn't hear it. He would rather stay and be taken to parts unknown. "I thought that you were gone forever," Jasper uttered through gritted teeth. His fingers had made subtle movements, almost like a flicking motion. "When I first saw you at school, I was angry with you. I wanted you to go away and never come back." As he spoke, there was a subtle sound of something scratching against metal as Jasper's magic began to work on the lock. "But then I got dragged into this situation. It was horrible. I almost died, but it brought us together. We had a plan to put a stop to this and get on with our lives, and now when we're so close, you want me to leave you behind?" There was a moment of silence between the two. Eric had no words. He just sat and listened to Jasper's words. They cut deep, but not in a bad way. Rather, they made him realize how foolish he was being. Jasper was caught up in it because he was too much of a coward to face it head on. Now Jasper was risking everything to help him, and he was turning him away. Jasper was right. He couldn't give up. Not now. Eric was about to respond when they both heard a clicking sound. Jasper looked behind him and saw that the cuffs had loosened. He shook his hands, and the cuffs fell off, landing on the floor with a clink. "That actually worked?" He uttered in disbelief. He'd only tried it a few times and always had help. This was the first time he used that spell on his own. He stood up and rubbed his wrists and quickly made his way to Eric. There's no way I'm leaving you behind now, and don't say another word about it, because I'm not changing my mind, he remarked stubbornly as he took a breath and started to work on Eric's cuffs. You're quite the escape artist, aren't you? A voice called out to them. Eric and Jasper practically jumped out of their skin when they heard it. They started to look around in all directions, with Jasper standing close to Eric. He was ready to defend him if necessary. As they looked around the room, their eyes fell on the radio that was giving off a static sound again. How did you know? Jasper demanded as he glared at the radio. The cameras. I can see and hear you. Such sentimental drivel, the voice responded with a sneer. Despite the static, it was very clearly a woman's voice, and even with the snobbish tone, it was very silky, almost seductive. Eric's eyes grew wide with terror as he started to recognize the voice. He had heard it so many times before, but never in his wildest dreams did he think that she would be there doing her own dirty work for a change. Yet, he heard her voice. Not very clearly, but he could tell. He was silently urging Jasper to quickly free him, though Jasper, unlike Eric, didn't seem to be afraid. You could always change the channel if you don't like it, he retorted. He wasn't about to let this woman think that he was afraid of her. He grimaced as he felt a sharp kick in his leg. He looked over at Eric to see that he was scowling at him. Seriously? He whispered to him. You're really not helping here, Eric whispered back as he nodded towards the radio. Trust me, she's not someone you want to mess with. Yeah, well, I don't take too kindly to kidnappers, Jasper spoke defiantly. You hear me, lady? I won't let you get away with it. Do you really think you can stop me? Just let him go, Eric called out desperately. He was hoping that this would get Jasper to back down. He appreciated his bravery, but there was a time and a place, and this wasn't it. I'm the one you want. You have me. You don't need him. Silence. Long, drawn out. Silence. They could hear breathing in between the static, as if she was contemplating the matter. Eric and Jasper just stared at the radio, trying not to let the nerves get to them. Then through the static, they heard a laugh that was quickly followed by a sigh. I'm afraid I can't do that, she answered. Her once playful tone was gone from her voice. Instead, she spoke with a seriousness so sharp it could cut through the air. He has seen too much. He knows too much. I can't let him go. I'm sorry. Eric and Jasper blinked as they heard her last words. Did she just say she was sorry? That didn't make much sense. But before they could question it further, she spoke again. Now, you two have had quite a long night running all over the place and causing trouble. We still have a long journey ahead. So why don't you both just relax and go to sleep? When you wake up, we'll have arrived. A soft, gentle melody started to echo through the radio and permeate the air around them, making it feel heavy. They could feel their eyelids start to droop as the sweet lullaby started to make them feel drowsy. Both their heads started to nod, and Jasper blinked several times to stay awake, keeping an eye on the radio. He raised a hand and started to do a zigzag motion in the air, creating a lightning bolt in his fingers. He drew his hand back and took deep breaths as he tried his best to aim for the radio with his blurring vision. As his knees buckled under him, he thrust his hand forward and the lightning bolt crackled across the air and struck the radio, frying it. The song was cut short, and Jasper shook his head, rousing himself from its effects. He ran over to Eric, who was starting to come around himself. Are you okay? He asked the redhead, who smiled and nodded. I am now. She hasn't used a lullaby in a while, he remarked as Jasper quickly got to work freeing Eric. The familiar click of a lock could be heard as Jasper removed the cuffs. Eric put his hands forward and rubbed them before standing up. Thanks. I was getting worried that she might have put us both to sleep. She was pretty close, Jasper admitted. I wasn't sure if I could hit the radio. The two of them looked at the smouldering remains of the radio. They heard some static before it went silent permanently. Jasper looked over at Eric. You said she didn't use that in a while. You know who she is? Eric nodded. I do. She made my life hell for years. Maybe I'll tell you about it someday. But for now, we need to put a stop to her and turn this ship around. How about we actually do it together this time? Jasper suggested as he held a hand to Eric. No more running off. No more, it's my problem, I'll handle it alone. No more of this self-sacrificing stuff. I'm here, and I'm not leaving until we sort this out. Deal? Eric chuckled and shook Jasper's hand. Deal. He walked over to the door and carefully opened the door, peering around it. There was a lone ship worker mopping the floor. He didn't really seem to be paying them much mind. Eric quickly motioned Jasper over. I only see one so far, and he's busy mopping, he explained as Jasper peered through the door. If we're fast enough and quiet enough, we should be able to sneak past without alerting him. Jasper looked back at Eric and nodded. All right, on the count of 3, we go. 1, 2, 3. As soon as Jasper said 3, the two quickly crept out the door in single file. They were careful enough to not let their footsteps be heard. When they got closer to the mopping man, they backed up against the wall and crept sideways along the wall to get past him. The man continued to mop away, unaware of the two sneaking past him. As soon as they had put enough distance between themselves and him, they pulled away from the wall and darted around the corner. They paused and looked at their surroundings, and the coast appeared to be clear. They then darted as fast as they could down the corridor and ran through several doors. When they approached another door leading to a set of stairs, they stopped dead in their tracks when they saw a rather muscular-looking ship worker. Unlike the more vacant gaze of the others, this man was glaring right at them. He walked towards them, his hands outstretched, ready to catch them. Run! Eric called out as the two just about managed to dodge the man's hands and ran behind him. They quickly ran through the door and up the stairs, picking up speed as they heard his thunderous footsteps behind them. When they reached the top, they quickly slammed the door shut behind them. Eric looked around and spotted a mop left on the floor. He quickly picked it up and slotted it through the door handles to buy them some time. They jumped as they heard something slam into the door behind them, and when the door wouldn't open, the sound of furious yelling echoed around them. They quickly ran from the door, the sea breeze blowing their hair back as they ran. They were outside, much to their relief. It was great to get some air after being down below for so long. They ran along the deck until they reached the door. They opened it and looked inside. It was a large room with a console taking up most of it and a screen, which was no doubt linked to cameras. They had reached it, the control room of the ship. They stepped inside the door, slamming shut behind them. They stepped forward and spotted a woman with long red hair standing near the ship's controls. So, you actually found me. I'm impressed. She spoke as she turned around to show twinkling blue eyes and a sinister smile. But this is where your little rebellion ends. That is the end of today's episode. It was a rather tense moment. I don't know about you, but I thought Eric had really given up. Jasper's stubbornness actually paid off here, and all that's left to do is to face the woman behind the song. Will Jasper and Eric be able to stop her, or will they become her puppets? Find out in the next episode.